Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin with chapter 24, verse 18. We were discussing this yesterday. This was the second half of the discussion. We didn't see a parish on it yet. So the first point we raised was that Eliezer said something different to Rivka than he had planned to say. And why was that? That we discussed yesterday with Orach Chaim. What we'll discuss today is Rivka did something different than Eliezer said the right candidate would do. And specifically, Eliezer's image was that the right person would offer him to drink and his camels to drink. And she just offered him to drink. And then once he was finished drinking, she said, let me give your camels too. Is that better than Eliezer had in mind? Is that worse than Eliezer had in mind? Is that equal to it's definitely different than what Eliezer had in mind? How does it compare? So the Orach Chaim on Pasuk Yud Ches. Vatomer Chayei, Perish, Kineged Shomarta Gmia Ma'at, Chayei Kechefzecha. First of all, Eliezer had said to her, give me a little bit of water to swallow. So the first thing she says is, drink, my master. And the Orach Chaim says what she means by drink is drink however much you like. There's no one's measuring how much you're taking there. V'lo sheyishtahu biyado, and not just that he should grab some water with his hands. Elahi titarach b'mitzvah lahashkos tzami l'mayim v'atzmaher v'atorot kadoa al yado. So she doesn't just say, I'll let you drink. She acts quickly, and she brings down the jug, so that he doesn't even have to work in taking the jug from her. The last word in verse 18 is she gave him to drink perish. Not only did he not have to go to the trouble of carrying the pitcher, Odla shahaisar barrel Odla shahaisa torachas lekarev lepiva maim shloitztarichu afil lahatos akli. She brought the vessel to him. She brought the container to him. He just stood there and she tilted it his way. So she's really extending herself to his needs in a very beautiful way. And this, of course, is very much what he was looking for. Why didn't she say right off the bat, I'll give your camels to drink? Famous question. She actually meant it to be more giving than what Eliezer would have had in mind. If what would have happened? She would have said, it's fine. You take to drink however much you want, and I'll also give your camels to drink. So what's the implication of that? If you're a self-conscious person, which hopefully some of us are, the implication of that is, my gosh, she's just going to be standing around waiting until I finish drinking, and then she's going to do something else for me. So if I want to be a menschlich person, I'm going to drink extremely quickly so that she could go on to the second task that she's already on record that she's going to do. Masha Einkein, Kodem Shehodiyehu Yachshov Kiyuze Kol HaTorach V'yishtek Echevtzolat La'at. So she didn't say anything about giving the camels to drink. She said, listen, I want you to drink however much you want. Now, of course, she's still waiting on him. She's doing him a kindness, but there's not the self-consciousness of, I'm going to drink however much I want, and then she's going to do something else for me. I better get moving. No, this is her task. She's giving me to drink. The moment he's finished drinking, take a farmer. So now, great, he had as much as he wants. And now she says, wonderful, now I want to give your camels too. So the Orach Chaim says it's true. It's not what Eliezer had in mind. It's better than what Eliezer had in mind. That's the Orach Chaim's explanation. Okay. As you might be aware, Eliezer ends up repeating basically the whole story to Rivka's family. We're not going to go through, as you probably are not surprised, the Mepharshim do not have a lot of pasuk by pasuk explanation of the repetition of it. But there is a very interesting thing on verse 39. So Eliezer is in the middle of explaining to Rivka's family what happened with Abraham, what Abraham told to do, what he was looking for when he came, what happened with Rivka. And now in 39, Va'omar al Adoni, I said to my master, this is Eliezer speaking, I said to my master when he first gave me the directive, that I was supposed to find a woman from this area and then bring her back to my master's son. Perhaps the woman won't want to come. Now, of course, that was a point that Eliezer raised when we was talking to Avram. We had that earlier in the Psukim, but there's something interesting here that Ulai would normally be, and was spelled earlier in the Parsha, Aleph Vav Lamed Yud. And in this pasuk, it's spelled Aleph Lamed Yud, without the Vav to create the U sound. And so if Abal Koreh was laning it and he hadn't prepared very well, he would naturally read that word as Eli. Eli means to me. Now, that's obviously not the meaning of the pasuk. The meaning of the pasuk is Ulai, but it is written in an interesting way. On this, Rashi says, if you look at Rashi, Ulai lo selecho isha, Eli ksiv. It's written to me. Bas hoisalo leEliezer. Eliezer had a daughter. V'haya mechazer limtzo ila sheyomer lo Avram lifnos elav lasio bito. He was angling that perhaps in a certain circumstance, Avram would say, you know what? Maybe let's have Yitzchak marry your daughter. So Eliezer says, what if I go and I find the right person and she doesn't want to come? What happens then? And what the pasuk, what the Medrash is saying, the pasuk is alluding to here, is in the back of his mind as he's talking, maybe not so much the back of his mind, in his mind as he's talking, he's saying, maybe my daughter is plan B. And then Abraham's response to him is basically, I'm not having my son marry a local. And that's that. Okay, very famous medrash. Kli Yakar on pasuk lametes. Va'omar laduni ulaylo selecho isha acharoi. Pirish Rashi, Eli chaser ksiv. It's written missing the vav. Lefi Shabbos haisel Eliezer. What we just read with Rashi, that Eliezer had a daughter. Fine. The question is posed. Great medrash, wonderful pshat. Why would it only say it this way in the second time around? Why doesn't it say it this way when the story first happens? It's strange to the extent that there's something being conveyed. Why would you wait until the second time around? There must be something about the second time around that makes it seem to be important over here. The Omer Ani, so clear, because I think the pshat is Ilu Kasav Sham Hayisi Omer Shalakach Nichtav Chaser Ki Omar Eliezer Ulai Lo Sove Ve'Elai Haino B'Shvili Ki Lo Sirtza Leilech Im Evet Kamoni Elo Im Sarim V'Nichbadim Avol Achshav Shenichtav Chaser B'Sipra Eliezer Lovno B'Suel Ein Leforish Kach Ki Eich Yazkir Gnuso Lifneim V'Telem Pischon Pepose Sheb Emes Lo Sisratza Lelechem Shval Anoshim Kaboso. So it's very interesting. So the Kli Yakar says, if this would have been written when Eliezer was actually speaking to Avraham, we would have understood it totally differently. Maybe what Eliezer means, he's not that he's hoping that my daughter Eli means it's about me. Maybe she won't come because you sent a servant to recruit her. Maybe she won't be interested in coming back because of me. Maybe she would only come back if there was a prominent personage coming to ask her to come. So if the medrash would have gone in the wrong direction if it was written originally. Obviously, when he's talking to Rivka's family, trying to convince them that they should come, there's no way in the world he would say to them, I said to Avram, why would anybody go with a guy like me? I'm sure, why? That's not a good pitch. So now we understand when he's talking to them, there's a whole other angle. He's saying to them, look, I have a daughter. He said this to give them a little bit of a worry. So he's just sprinkling this in here. He's saying, it was very, very important to Avram that I get a woman from this area. And I said to Avram, just to show you how much Avram wants a woman from this area, I mentioned to Avraham, or I was thinking as I asked this to Avram, I have a daughter of marriageable age. Not bad to just put that in the back of their minds. Maybe if they play too hard to get, maybe they won't get their daughter married to Yitzchak. Maybe Eliezer will prevail upon Avram to have his son. So that's just a very interesting shot in the Kli Yakar. Okay. Okay, so now Pasuk 47. Eliezer is still talking to the family, and he's telling them what happened. Voyashalosa, and I asked her, Va'omar, and I said to her, Bas miat, whose daughter are you? Vatomer Bas Psuel ben Nachor Sheyaldolo Milka. I'm the daughter of Psuel. Vasim Hanezem Alapa Vatzbitim Al Yodeha. And then I gave her the jewelry. So she gave the right answer. I'm supposed to look for someone from the family. She indeed is from the family, and I gave her the jewelry. It's not what happened. Eliezer, if I don't know if we saw these psukim together, but Eliezer gave her the jewelry, and then after he gave her the jewelry, he asked her, "Who's your father?" But he flipped the order. Why did he flip the order when he was talking to her family? Orachaim on Memzai. Shina, he flipped the order. L'chshashas Rama Usam, out of concern for their cunning. Ki yomru shenasan hachafetzim kodem litzad Moshe shimashto ve'im nogim lavia lozahiktim ki lo nasan el acher sheyada heyosa bas besuah sheruil Yitzchak nasan la betchezkas tachshite kal v'chasan ve'im lavia schus b'hem. This is a really interesting shot, and it's a really interesting portal to who Eliezer was dealing with. So Eliezer was worried, says the Orach Chaim, that they would say the jewelry is rightfully theirs and not Rivka's. Why is the jewelry rightfully theirs? Because you know why you gave her the jewelry? You gave her the jewelry in gratitude for her helping you. She helped you. You gave her the jewelry. Now, if you give a child a gift, the gift should become under the ownership of the child's parents. So Eliezer thought they were going to come with this whole angle that this beautiful jewelry is actually theirs and not Rivka's. So he said to them, so I found out whose daughter she was, and then when I knew that this was fulfilling of Avram's conditions, then I gave her the jewelry, because then it's obvious that this is in the process, it steps towards asking for her hand in marriage, and that's about her and not about a broader family. Interesting shot from the Orach Chaim, but again, it goes to Eliezer's well-founded suspicions of who he was dealing with and what the angles on things would be. So we discussed this morning what the significance is of Rivka doing differently than Eliezer had anticipated the right person would do. We discussed why the hint from the Torah about to me would only be written when Eliezer is repeating the story, and we discussed why Eliezer changed the order of what happened in terms of his asking who her father was and the giving of the jewelry. I'm just going to stop the recording.